Hello and welcome to tonight's show. My name is Micah, and boy, do we have a show for you. In today's show, we're going to be interviewing the team behind The Promised Land. The Promised Land is a hilarious new biblical comedy that reimagines the story of Moses and the Israelites in the book of Exodus. It's through a comedic lens with a new modern twist. Think The Office, Parks and Recreation, or Abbott Elementary, all of those great shows. But it's set in the wilderness based off the book of Exodus, excuse me. You can watch The Promised Land on Angel by going to angel.com/promised land guild. You can find it there, join, become an Angel member. You'll gain access to this amazing show as well as other hundreds of movies and series, so check it out there. Joining us to talk about the show is the director, Mitch Hudson, producer Richie Johns, and cast members Wasim Nomani, who played Moses, and Shireen Khan, who played Miriam in the show. Thank you all so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Great to be here.
So, this is going to be great. We're going to talk so much about how the show came to life, a bit of behind the scenes stories, if you will. And let's just jump right into it. Let's start with where this idea came from. The Promised Land takes place in one of the most epic biblical stories, but goes through it with a comedic lens. So I'd love to talk about where faith meets funny. The first question is for Mitch. Mitch, what was your involvement like in the beginning, and where did the concept begin?
Yeah, great question, Micah. So the idea of taking Exodus and making it in the mockumentary style of The Office, Parks and Recreation, Abbott Elementary, that kind of fake documentary, as if there were documentary cameras that were there at the time, didn't originate from me. It came from a friend of one of our producers for the first season who said, hey, do you think you could write a pilot episode based off of this concept? Take Moses, but shoot it like The Office. What do you think? And I was like, okay, well, let me think about this. It could probably work, but it's definitely different. I think certainly after The Office was first coming out, and was certainly a huge hit while I was in college, everyone was trying to do it's this, but it's like The Office, right? It's The Walking Dead, but it's The Office. It's this thing, but it's The Office. It's always been tried. And it usually doesn't work, because usually people are trying to fit whatever that other thing is into the characters of The Office, right? You're looking at it and you're saying, okay, well, let's make a Dwight, let's make a Jim, let's make a Pam, let's make what these characters are, but in this other setting. And I knew I didn't want to do that. I wanted it to be something that felt very true, because the reason that people make these documentary type shows is that they're trying to capture a feeling that feels unscripted and feels true, right? That's why we call them mockumentaries, because they're not real documentaries, but they're trying their hardest to be like a documentary and have that feeling of it all being off the cuff and all being live and captured in the moment. And so I looked at Exodus and I was like, okay, what is the best way to tell this story, but to feel like it is authentic and like we are capturing these characters in their true daily lives? And we've seen these stories before. We've seen the story of Moses many times. We've seen Charlton Heston play him. We've seen Christian Bale play him. Varying degrees of success of doing this. But usually they focus on the big moments, right? It's all about the parting of the Red Sea. It's all about the golden calf. It's all about these big things that we've heard about, the 10 plagues, the 10 commandments, etc. So when the concept was brought to me at that early stage, I thought, okay, well, what is this show's perspective? What would make this show different? And I reread the story of when Jethro comes and visits Moses, and basically, someone who is like Moses's mentor, if you will, someone he would look up to. And it's like, hey, this way that you're leading, the way that you're trying to do all of this on your own is not sustainable for what you're trying to do. And it's all wrong. And he tells him, you have to involve your family. You have to do this differently and better. And if you do, it'll go well for you. And if you don't, it's going to be a disaster. And that was kind of the starting point. I read that story and I was like, okay, this is what the show is about. It's not about these massive moments where everyone was awestruck by the presence of the Lord, even though I knew we would get there in the show. It's about the daily, how do we do this questions that Moses and his family would have. And as soon as he involves his sister Miriam and his brother Aaron and all the other characters in helping him lead, the show would then carry on through this idea of how do we lead them every day, not just in the big moments, but every single day. So anyways, that's how the concept kind of came to me, and where I wanted to take it. And so I wrote the pilot episode in a Panera back in the fall of 2021. Bible open, just kind of going back and forth, like, oh, interesting. You read these stories and you think that they're cool when you read them, but then you're like, okay, next chapter. And then when you're reading them to try to write a show, you're a little bit more thinking like, oh, wait a minute. He had to have two other people hold his arms up for this battle.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound how what led to this. You know what I mean? Like, they couldn't have just been like, here's our B plan. If I get too tired, help me with my arms. So anyways, wrote that script. And then we set about trying to find anyone who would help us bring the show to life after that.
No, that's great. And I couldn't agree more. I think that's something that the show does so well, is it brings you into the lives of these individuals, and kind of they're all the big moments that you mentioned that we all know, but the day-to-day stuff is what I think is really making the show shine. It's so funny in that way and brings you into everyone's lives. Richie, a question for you. What was your early reaction in when you were pitched this biblical show based in scripture, but also a comedy? What was your reaction?
Yeah, I was excited about this opportunity because, it's never been done before, especially when you look at, faith-based shows. That's really been Mitch and I's heart, is like, well, current faith-based media really isn't made for people our age. But also the unique approach is what really drew me in, taking a look at these characters in a way that feels authentic and true, like Mitch was mentioning. And it's the format itself, right? It's the format with the interviews where you get to sit down, you relate with the characters. And, early on, it was we had to also kind of balance, like, okay, what is the line, and how are people going to receive this? Because one of the things that we want to be very clear is we're not, mocking the Bible. We are not, making light of scripture. The whole point is to show, the authenticity of these characters and just how life was for them. I think the biggest thing is that it's relatable, and nobody has ever seen Moses talk directly to a camera before, but it makes scripture come alive in a new way that you've never thought about it before. And you get to relate to them, connect with them, get to feel their pain. And the big part is you get to laugh with them, right? I think that's the biggest thing for me, is like, I love humor, and the way we've approached the show and that balance that Mitch has found with the writing is, very funny, but then that opens the door for really heartfelt moments too. And that's the part, great shows that, like all of the references that you mentioned earlier, that's what they do so well, right? You laugh and then you feel, and that's what we're all about doing too. So that's, was my initial reaction to the show.
No, I love that. And a question for Wazim and Shireen. So you were approached with this project. What was it like approaching Moses and Miriam in this humor sort of way? Was that difficult?
Do you want to take it first?
Yeah, go first.
The writing is all there. It all came off the page for me. So it wasn't difficult at all. I mean, I think that when we get these characters, first, when it was teed up for us on the breakdown, it was a project I knew that I wanted to be a part of. It made so much sense. The character spoke to me. The way that Miriam is imagined or reimagined as, this really clever woman who's musical and has this really passionate core. It just really made so much sense to me. And then, putting these stories in a really mirthful lens, it was perfect. And so then when we're starting to shoot the pilot, doing the research, you find that you have these like milestone markers about the character. Like, we know how she began with seeing Moses through as a baby, and her cleverness in brokering his carriage with the Egyptian princess and making sure her family didn't fall apart. And then we jump to, just an entirely different point where she's seeing them through after the Red Sea and leading the women with tambourine and songs. So we know she's musical. And then we go forward and we see how, like, her intelligence gets the best of her, and how it undermines her into airing. And so these are the bench moments that we have for her, and how do we fill it in between? And so it was just so much to be able to extrapolate from on that journey. It made so much sense the way that Mitch had written it. It fell into place that that she would sometimes be the most clever person in the room, and there's so much funny that she is so passionate in her point of view about her music, and that's so funny. But above all, they're in these conditions that are so, the stakes are so high, and that within being escaped slaves wandering the desert with their faith in God and Moses perhaps may be out of his depth, some we don't know, like those are some stakes, but then they are in times this is their normal, and that tension is already set up to be so hilarious, I find. So through that, working through those moments, the tension between the passion that they each have in strong points of view, and then the physical comedy, the way that the form set up with the not to mention the physical comedy that we get to sort of bumble around in our individual encounters, but like the camera pegs in those moments and catching the rhythm of that has its own like embedded humor, because it immediately lets the audience in on the joke or the bit. And that's just such a brilliant part of this format. And it really, it pegs the humor, and then it also lets us relate to the audience.
Mm.
And Wasim,
that.
what was it like for you approaching this role that, like was mentioned before, it's been done by Christian Bale, by so many other people, but not really from this angle? What was it like approaching the role of Moses?
Right. Well, I was tentative at first when I read the breakdown, because, Moses is a obviously very revered prophet in the three Abrahamic religions. And then when I read the pilot episode, I was like, okay, this is like very high quality for such a low budget show. Usually the quality is in direct proportion with the budget, and this wasn't the case. The budget was very low, but the quality was very high. And then of course I knew of the Moses story, but not in depth. And then after reading that and reading Exodus, through that lens, from having read the pilot, Moses encounters God. He believes in God. He knows God is speaking to him through the burning bush, and he says, "You're my guy." And Moses says, "No," repeatedly, which kind of, lends itself to the comedy aspect of it, because his self-doubt is so intense that he doubts God's decision, which I thought was, I thought that can be very funny. And I think Mitch did an incredible job by revering these characters and finding the comedy in the in-betweens and in their humanity, and not, the dignity of these characters are non-negotiable. And I think that's a testament to Mitch and his writing and his reverence for these characters. So, yeah. So I mean, and even the term mockumentary, it's mocking the documentary style and not the characters, which is, I think, a very important point to continuously make.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's great.
That's great, Wasim.
Thank you all so much for your answers. This next question is one that we get a lot for our series, so I have to ask you both, ask you all rather, is, do you have a favorite episode? And if you do you mind sharing what it is? Richie, why don't we start with you?
Oh, that, I was hoping I wouldn't go first, because I was going to pivot. I was going to change my answer based on what everybody said. I'll actually, I'm going to start with episode 4, I think, because I go back and forth. But 4 was consistent from when I read the script to actually seeing the finished version. There's a particular episode, I won't say which, maybe another interview, that I actually didn't like the script, and I love how it turned out. But 4 was consistent. We meet a character named Bezalel earlier in the season, but he wrestles with this idea of being unworthy because of a past mistake that he made. And he doesn't feel worthy to being called he doesn't feel worthy for what God is calling him to do. And I think so many people relate to that. And they think, well, because I did this, because I did that, I'm not able to do this or that. And, that's the beautiful thing about our faith, is that, God is able to use anybody, no matter what they've done. And episode 4 just does that so well. It's really kind of the turning point of the season. Also, with episode 4, you kind of are in it, but that is kind of the first moment. There's other moments, especially with the way episode 3 ends, but 4 specifically, it's like, man, like I came to this show to laugh, but I'm like feeling something. Like, why am I crying right now? And we get that reaction a lot. So for me, episode 4, I love it.
No, that's great. And Mitch, how about you? Do you have a favorite? I know it can be kind of difficult, especially as a director, choosing from your babies. But which episode for you?
Right. Yeah, it's like you said, it's very hard, because I think this answer is going to sound straight in line with what I'm about to say. I think you always tend to like your latest thing the most. And so, when we made the pilot, I was like, awesome, we made the pilot. And then when we edited episode 2, I was like, ooh, episode 2. And as we went on, but I genuinely do think that episode 6, the finale of the season, is my favorite of the season. Because I think it's always fun when you can culminate a bunch of different stories you've been putting together. And what was fun about writing a whole season after having done the pilot was that I could think a little bit broader, because when we wrote the pilot, I was like, okay, great. I might just have this one. So I'm going to try to make this one pilot really great. And then same with season 1. It was like, okay, well, might just have this season. So, but I have a longer timeline to try things, to try stories, to try jokes, to see if they all pay off. And so what was fun was to kind of sprinkle information across episode 2, episode 3, episode 4, episode 5, and then kind of see all of that come together in episode 6. And I think everyone pulled it off in such an incredible way. And I mean, it's weird to find yourself moved, I think, by your own work. Sometimes it feels self-indulgent, but it's not mine. Like once you've written something and then you've made it with a whole group of people, it becomes our thing. And so I think what really moves me about episode 6 is in the last 10 minutes, I kind of just sort of watch it, because I'm watching Shireen and I'm watching Wasim and I'm watching these characters who are bringing to life these like really holy moments. I mean, the season ends on such a special spiritual holy moment that I was very, very nervous about because I wanted to do it justice, and in our funny little documentary style comedy show, I wanted to make sure that when God shows up, it feels like God is showing up, and it's not a joke, it's real, and it was cool to just kind of see that work by the end of the season. So yeah, I would say episode 6 is my favorite.
Oh, that's great. Thank you for sharing. Shireen, how about you?
It's almost impossible to choose, but and all of them have like major highlights. Episode 6 for all the reasons that Mitch just mentioned. Episode 4, yeah, that conversation between you and Bezalel is so moving, and I absolutely sob every time. It's just so beautiful the way that you get through to him. If I have to choose on episode 3 is like the Bollywood of the season. It's got a little bit of everything, and for that, I'm going to give it a vote for the moment. But we really do get to see some really fun character moments throughout. Won't spoil anything, but like we get some introductions. We get some really fun face-offs, and then ultimately we get like a really big dramatic moment that is beautiful. Wasim absolutely shines in it, and it's so. Remember, filming it was really intense and in the most poignant ways, and yeah, it kind of like you'll laugh, you'll cry.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's episode 3, man. Stay tuned.
It's a great
Get some
one.
of that. Get you some episode 3 and 6 and 4
Yeah.
and 1 and 2.
Wazim, how about you?
I mean, in line with what everyone is saying, because I really enjoyed all of them, but I think it was 5, because 5, I think everyone was amazing in 5.
Yeah.
And like, and that's what I loved. It was like everyone bringing their A game and just knocking it out of the park with the small moments and the big moments. And it was, yeah, I remember, yeah, we saw it, what was it, last week?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
2
right?
weeks ago
Couple
now.
weeks ago. Yeah.
Time we don't know.
Yes. And I was just so impressed with everybody's work that it really inspired me, you know?
Mm.
Because everybody goes a little bit outside of like what is established.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I think episode 5 is probably my favorite.
No,
I love that one. It's also a real testament to Wasim, episode 5. You know, you've probably heard this saying before about actors, where they say like, "Oh, this actor is so good they could read the phone book." You know, like episode 5 is a lot of Wasim reading these Levitical laws to a bunch of other characters, and it's interesting. It's really fun to watch. It's like, yeah, you know.
You know, because you read these announcements or reading the laws and everything, and your job as an actor primarily is to be interesting, but not in a look at me kind of way, but in a way that is true. And
Truth.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously in Moses is described as being slow of speech, slow of tongue, of uncircumcised lips, and a lot of people interpret that as a stutter. But Mitch and I had a conversation, and he said, I don't know if I want to go in that direction. So we had to find ways of him being a poor public speaker. And, you know, I grew up, you know, very nervous about getting picked on to read aloud in class. You know, it's like, oh, don't pick me. And you're like, oh, you're just sweating. And then, so, yeah, that's all I have to say about it. So,
That's awesome.
No, that's great. Thank you so much for your answers. I think what this brought out, and I think this is so true about the show, is that we had, you know, episode 3, episode 4, episode 6 chosen. A lot of these shows, just using earlier examples, like we spoke about the Office and Parks and Rec, people usually are like, oh, you just have to get through the first season. Oh, you just have to get through the first 3 episodes. Almost every show people say that about. Not this one.
True. Yeah.
I think The Promised Land is something to where I was hooked. Episode 1, I was like, I'm in. I understand what this is. It's extremely well done. So I'm not saying that about this show.
Thanks,
when
friend.
I'm pushing it to people. I'm like, you should watch it. There's nothing coming out of my lips saying, oh, you just have to get through the first 2 episodes. You don't. Like, it'll hook you. It's great.
yeah.
But
Hey, that's cool, Micah. Thank you for
Yeah,
that.
no.
What's your favorite episode, Micah?
no, like I said, I think I'm going to have to say 1 because it was just so intriguing right off the bat. And that's the reason I think I'd say 1.
Great.
Because I'm not kidding when I
Yeah.
said it hooked me. I was like, I'm in 100%. This is hilarious. It's interesting. It's new. So I'm going to have to say episode 1. But
Let's go.
just to the audience, please check it out. Go to angel.com/ I want to get the URL right. Promised Land Guild. Become a member. Tell us what your favorite episode is in the comments. Go ahead, become a member there and check it out. I'd love to jump into next is just a behind the scenes look into the creation of the show. This is more of a round table, so it might be a bit awkward, but feel free to jump in with any of these questions. The first question is, are there any funny or memorable moments that you guys had on set when filming season 1? Just open it up. Is there any that just come to mind?
I have one, but do you guys have one that comes to bat right away, or
Go first.
Let's hear yours,
yeah,
Mitch.
what I think about every time I think about the behind the scenes of making the show, I think about episode 5. I think about when we took Moses and Korah and a couple other characters who were not supposed to be there, but were there up on the mountain, and had them all reading the laws. We have this component in episode 5 where Moses is doing law school, where he's trying to teach all of these new laws to all of the chiefs and elders of the camp. And I don't think I've ever laughed as hard on set as I did during some of those scenes. Because, we in our show, we definitely do, we do a lot of improv. Like I would say the script is probably a 75% of what ends up making it onto the screen. Like we mess around with a lot of it. It's obviously following all the beats and all the important parts of what was kind of written in advance of it. And of course we're very careful about making sure that like what is in the Bible is as it should be. But in these in-between moments when we have space, we do a lot of improv and try some things. And there were some improv moments between Wasim and Brad Culver, who plays Korra, that just, we had a hard time getting through them. Like, I think it was like some of the most, I don't know. It was, if we got a full take done, it was like a miracle just because we were all just dying laughing. That's what comes to mind first for me, at least.
For me as well. That's because, I had filmed a big scene in season 3 the day before, and I was depleted, and my voice was very sketchy, and it was Brad was so hot that day, Brad Cole. Yes, and I was like, oh, thank goodness, this guy is on, and just trying through what he was doing and the choices he was making. It was the perfect gift for the day after having to do what I did, for the scene in episode 3. And and that's what's so special about this, is that your scene partner on this project is going to put you on their back and take you all the way home. And that's what's so special about it. And that's what I remember when I think about like after behind the scenes, that day specifically.
Yeah, it's
so
any, from my point of view, it's anytime, like this ensemble is just comedy gold, and on their own individually, and when you get them together, that chemistry is outstanding, and I just feel lucky to be there. And it's an impossible question for me to pick like one funny moment, because funny becomes our normal on most of the days. Like when we're not shooting the really reverent scriptural and dramatic moments, it's just funny is the normal. And watching you and Brad that day, and I got a moment with Brad where Miriam and Korra have like we improvised so many different things in a particular scene, and I think it was episode 3 when they're doing women's tent stuff, and one of the things was that we got to have a stare down, and just like conceptually a stare down between Miriam and Korra is just a crack up. But and so we getting to try all of these alts with everybody is really fun. Yeah,
it's so fun. Plus you guys come in so well prepared and knowing your characters so well that it's one thing to improvise, but then it's another thing to improvise in a period piece where, like in a modern day setting, right? You could just improvise and be like, oh, I like this movie or this, you can kind of make up things that we all have familiarity with. For this, it's really tough because you have to improvise with a certain level of knowledge that most people, I would say, don't have, right? That our cast has been really great about is learning the scriptures so that what is there, right? And oftentimes, when we improvise, it's from deep cut knowledge that I would say is not initial read through knowledge of these stories. And so it's like, okay, well, if Moses is going to make this joke, Moses would also need to know that technically Amram, his father, married his great aunt Jochebed. Like there's like things like that we have to like know that kind of works into this reality. Yeah, and you guys are also good at that, which is
and that's like I remember in season 1 I had some kind of improv moment, and I said something about paper, and then I was like, oh, paper doesn't even
that's right.
It's difficult.
That's right.
There is these common day expressions that we use unconsciously, just flippantly, and you're like, no, that hasn't been invented yet. Yeah. And back to what Shireen said about funny being kind of the default on set is really a compliment to Mitch in the kind of set that he runs, which is like very focused and work first, but it's such a relaxed, playful arena that you can feel like you can do anything. And it's very important that you're there because as Brad Culver says all the time, he goes, inspiration comes on holiday, so you have to be in that kind of set and setting, be able to just play.
That's cool.
And
that's cool.
Richie,
like
were there any behind the scenes moments that you'd like to share?
I have a different answer, more the producer answer of like all the things that went wrong. That in hindsight are now funny. One of the biggest things we had to challenge was the weather, because we shot it in southern Utah, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's perfect this time of year. It's a big golf destination. It's gonna be perfect weather." Well, like the beginning of the shoot, it was like blazing, super hot, so hot. Like we went through so much water. Our poor background, we just kept like telling everybody hydrate. Well, the end of the shoot, there was no like good period. We're like we don't actually think that good weather exists. Everybody lied to us because at the end it was freezing cold and super windy, and so the last couple of weeks we ended with the tabernacle out in an area, and it was like super flat and extremely windy. And so one of my memorable moments was like praying that the tabernacle would stay up in time to finish all of the scenes, because there was a point where
was
like
dicey.
It kept getting wind torn, and the way it's constructed, there's fabric over top of it, and so we had materials, and basically our wonderful art team had to kind of reset it every day. And there was a period where it was kind of funny, like the outer courtyard kind of made a wind tunnel, and so you went in and it's just sand blowing everywhere. And it's funny looking back now. In the moment, not fun at all. And Mitch is like, I could not shoot my scene here. So looking back, a lot of funny moments. Just a lot of prayer that God was going to keep the tabernacle up for it. By the end, it basically just fell down. So cleanup was easy, but that's what comes to mind for me.
That's
great.
And you have to be so prepared, at least for that. Always, but because there's so many obstacles, one after another. Whether it be the lighting, the clouds in front of the sun, the wind, planes, automobiles. Yes,
ATVs that would drive through.
Yes,
many convoy.
And we have the windows keep getting smaller and smaller, and you're like, I don't want to be the guy who messed this up, So
That's even more of a testament to like the type of set that Mitch runs, because it's like even under those considerations of weather and light, and like we're all wanting to get the shot, but we still have this playfulness that we can have, and Mitch really hosts that in a beautiful way. Thanks,
guys.
That's something that I always come away with, like at the end of the day, like, oh my gosh, not only did we do that, like it was fun and it was like heroic because we did it.
That's so cool.
Honestly, like every day is like such a gift of achievement, and and again, like Mitch and Richie too, like, and the ensemble, like it's it takes a village, but
it does. You guys make it easy.
It's and just on the heels of the weather thing, I just remember like watching back some of the episodes now and remembering what the weather conditions were. I'm like, normal. Like there's maybe an indication of like some like hair flow like in the breeze, because like we caught that one moment of like where the wind tilt. Yell cut and wardrobe is cocooning us in like thermal blankets.
Warming. We did a great job making the show look like it was warm. It was mostly not very warm throughout most of the shoot, which is crazy.
Those early calls, I remember, walking onto set and like I could hear my sandals like flapping, but I couldn't feel my feet. I was like, it is. It's like I know I'm walking on them, but I can't feel them.
Right.
Well,
so
when it
funny.
comes to the costumes and the props, of course, with this being very unique in that regard. Are there any like stories or anything that was a running joke when it came to the props or the costuming or anything else like that? Any inside jokes when it comes to that? I don't know if there were, but
well, they were a good. Oh yes, go ahead, Shreen.
Oh no, yeah. Like, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Like the tambourine. Like I just remember at one point I was like, "We got to give her a name," and
Yeah.
so there's we the tambourine has a life of its own. I'll just leave it there. Yeah.
Shreen's comment about naming her tambourine was great because again, it's another instance of great improv from her. There was a scene in which she was just, sometimes I just don't call a cut at the end of a scene just to sort of see what happens. And there's a scene where she was just kind of left alone, and so she just started talking to her tambourine. And it was so funny to me that she just named it and had this whole conversation and gave it like a voice. And I was like, this is perfect and absolutely going to be in the show. And yeah, another great instance of her improv. Yeah.
I love that. Well, before we move on, are there any other stories when it comes to the costuming or props? I love the tambourine story. That's absolutely hilarious. But if not, we'll just go ahead and move on.
Nothing. Yeah. I mean, the only thing I was going to say is that we, I know that some of the actors, like Shreen mentioned, kind of have a relationship with their hero props, and certainly a big one for us has always just been the staffs. Moses has a staff. Aaron has a staff. Cora has a staff. He actually named his staff on set Staffney, and he would take that around with him everywhere he went. But it was so funny because you give these characters these staffs, and they look so cool, and then you try to cross shoot, you try to shoot one person's coverage and the other person's coverage at the same time. And you're always fighting, where is the staff in the shot? Because you get the perfect shot on Moses and the other person has his staff straight through their face. And so all the time we were like cheating and trying to figure out, okay, where does the staff go in this scene? I don't know if it was exactly a recurring joke, but it was certainly a recurring topic as we were shooting this season.
Staff meeting.
Yeah, staff
Allie's
meeting.
having.
Yeah, a staff meeting. Yeah, exactly.
Have a staff meeting.
No, that's great. And thank you so much for bringing us behind the scenes with those answers. For this next segment, I'd love to jump into this little game that we're going to be playing. It's called Complaining in the Wilderness. How it works is I'm going to be giving our actor and actress guest a prompt, and we're going to see how their character would react to that prompt, in character, and we'll see what happens. This improv skill. Here we go. Okay, let's see. I'm pulling up the list here. So this one is Moses says there is another detour for the 18th time. So how do you think your characters would react?
I'm starting to think that you don't know where you're going.
You can't say that to a man.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I meant I never thought that you knew where you were going.
This way is the right way. It took me 19 tries, but this is it.
I have faith in God.
No, that's great. That's great. I think
if we were...
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, if we were on set, I'd be like, Moses, tell us why this detour is the best one.
Because I found 18 previous ways how not to get there. So this one, the 19th one.
It could be said. That is true wisdom. But we're exhausted.
Walking is good for the soul.
Yes. The soles of your feet.
Okay, let's go with this one. That's great.
Walking is good for the soul is too good.
That's great. This one is Miriam just started her desert influencer vlog and wants everyone to subscribe.
For more tambourine tips with Miriam, smash that like button and be sure you subscribe. And don't forget to hit the bell for notifications.
There
That's
you
so
go.
cute.
Tambourine tips. There
That's
it is.
awesome.
I think that plays perfectly. That really does.
Perhaps they're waiting for me to fail.
This next one is the manna just got door dashed again.
That'd be good. What's DoorDash?
But what?
That's-
We don't have. We have
Flapdash.
Flapdash. Yes.
no, I think
I
that's
told you 1,000 times before, don't order from the Flapdash.
Yes. And
Why would you pay shekels for something that you can make at home?
that's true.
No,
but they
that's-
make it different.
No, they don't.
And it takes a day and a half to get here.
Mm.
And the guy is tired in the night. So you have to have a tent for the delivery guy.
That's so much. We can literally make manna cakes at home.
It's true.
It's true. But they're
Sometimes I'm lazy.
no, that's great.
The
Then
fries are-
let's do this. Let's do this last one. It's you've been walking for 40 minutes, not 40 years, but someone forgot the snacks. So you found out someone forgot the snacks. You're 40 minutes in.
Oh, this is great. It's a great opportunity to fast and show our obedience to God. Perfect. Right?
absolutely. But don't worry. I knew this person would fail. I brought my own. Of course, I brought the snacks. Okay. Do you think? What do you think you're looking at?
What is not I need them.
No, that's perfect. I think the positive outlook, perfect time to fast. We planned this the entire time. That's what we wanted to do. Well, thank you so much for participating in our little game there. I think we'll see if any of that makes it into the show. I think the tambourine tips might go a long way. I think that's
it's a good one. It's one to remember.
So many offshoot ideas.
I'd love to end our interview with a Q&A. We gathered some questions from the guild. So this is sort of rapid fire. We'll go through these. The first question is for Mitch. What made you want to tell this story through comedy? Why the Book of Exodus? You touched a bit on this, but it is a guild member question, so maybe from a different angle.
Of course, yeah. No, I really appreciate that question because it's a question I always come back to as I'm writing, actually, which is like, why is comedy the route to find truth in this story, right? For me, what I love about comedy specifically is that it's I think in many ways, comedy can feel more real than drama because I think most of our lives, we are experiencing frustration, obstacles, we're experiencing failure, we're experiencing all of these things. And usually what happens is in the moment, you don't find it funny, but later you do. Like once you're past the thing, you kind of find the humor that was in it all along and you grow from it, right? And I think what's great about telling the story through the lens of comedy is that it helps us see ourselves in these characters. For so long, Moses and his family have been characters that existed thousands of years ago that we have nothing in common with. They're people who lived out in the desert, who had different experiences with God than we've had probably in our lives. And we can't, it's easy to kind of distance ourselves from characters like Moses because he's just not like us. But I think in comedy, we can find things that we can relate to and we can find common ground with a lot of these characters. And so when I look at Exodus, I see an ill-equipped family trying their best to lead a nation that does not want to be led. Out of the gate, it's very funny. Out of the gate, it's frustrating. And I think when you see that and you approach it with the kind of lens of humor, we are closing that separation by saying Moses may have lived thousands of years ago, but he felt not right for the job. Like Wasim said earlier, he doubted that he was right for this, even though God told him specifically that he was the man for this job. And I think we have felt those feelings before. And so rather than trying to make a show that is putting these characters up on like a lofty pedestal, I'm trying to use comedy to help us find ourselves in them, to prove a point which is that God used imperfect people then, and he still does that today. And if he could use Moses and Miriam and Aaron and people who didn't think that they were right for this and had all their little weird quirks and flaws and all these things that would have made them on paper not right for the job, but he could still use them anyways, then he could probably still use me today too. And that to me has always been kind of the point that I'm trying to make with blending humor with Exodus.
No, thank you so much for that answer, Mitch. Richie, the next one's for you. What has and what do you hope future audiences take away from this series?
Yeah. Well, Mitch stole my initial answer. Yeah, I'd say number one, that's our hearts, is that, and I referenced it earlier because that's how passionate, we are about it, is that God is able to use imperfect people, and, that I won't address any more of that. I have a couple other, answers for that. I think one thing is, and it's so fun when watching people's reactions to the show, like just their background is not necessarily coming from a background of faith. We have so many comments of people saying like, man, I really need to dive into scripture now and like read these stories. Cause kind of like Mitch mentioned, sometimes you just kind of skip over it or you read the big moments, partying the Red Sea but like, especially when people watch season 1, I hope they realize that there's layers to the comedy there. On the surface level, if you know nothing about the Exodus, it's still funny, right? You get to connect with the characters. It's the same way. It doesn't matter if you know about the operations of a paper company or Parks and Recreation department. It's still funny because of the characters. But the more you know, the depth of the layers, and that's the brilliance of the writing, is the more you know, the funnier it is. And there's so many little nuggets in there. Even sometimes like after the edit, we even find it like there might be some other commentary about this, but like things that are in the show that just kind of happened that we're like, oh, that it's funny how that worked out. My family is saying that's not odd, that's God. And just all those kind of little nuggets in there, the more you know, the funnier it is. And so I hope people, one, realize that God can use them, but 2, they go back to scripture and they dive into the word, and the Holy Spirit's able to move, and they realize how much they relate, with these characters. And I think that's, again, one, in closing, kind of like the final point of the show is that people come for the laughs, but they stay for the heart. And that's exactly what we're trying to do.
No, that's lovely. And for a question for Wazim and Shireen, how has working on this project impacted your own view of these characters and these stories?
I think in a very big way, because obviously I think everyone knows, at least in the broad strokes, the story of Moses, alluding to what Mitch had mentioned, that these are real people. These are real people that had to deal with real obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
And finding that humanity in them, in these trying circumstances, being in the wilderness, in the desert, dealing with, people who want to rebel and are constantly grumbling and complaining. And, Moses had a very important job to do, and he did not know if he can do it. But because of his faith, he was able to overcome that, or at least, act like he could overcome that. And I think that it's very important for all of us to not be afraid of our fear and to feel the fear and do it anyway. And I think that, for me, with this particular character specifically, is that, his humility and his humbleness is not him, having gotten over pride or, being more evolved. It is a recognition that I am full of follies and I am faulty. And the idea is not to be this perfect entity of what a human being should be, but to recognize yourself in everyone else, that, as the old saying goes, be kind, for everyone you meet is going through a very difficult battle. And that empathy is what I think, being a part of this, that deep empathy, which is kind of what we do, is empathizing with people. I think that has been the number one change for me, is
I mean, I'll just, really quickly to add to that. I mean, I feel like Wasim is like the perfect casting, and Mitch like is so brilliant at casting everybody, that like totally nailed it with Wasim in the fact that he's a humble leader in real life too.
Egomaniac.
Yeah, part that you'll bring to Moses is it really comes from a real organic place. I can attest to that. Absolutely. No, like that was like, yeah. We're lucky to know you.
She's okay too.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you for that. That was great. This last question that we have was kind of just us putting together a lot of the reaction that we've been getting for members of the guild. We're able to watch these episodes, and of course, everything has to go through the guild. And all the comments were like, "Yes, thank goodness. Oh, this is going to be on Angel. We're so happy." It was just so much positivity. So this final question, I'd love to just ask, what does it mean to have the Promised Land on Angel? And why do you think people should go watch the series? Just to kind of close us off, just ending with that. Mitch, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so excited about having the Promised Land on Angel. Angel has always been at the forefront of pioneering new faith-based content. They've always been trailblazers. They've always been groundbreakers. And they've always been trying things that are new. They're not afraid of being different, which is really exciting because our show is definitely new and not something that people have seen before. And so I think what's cool about Angel is that it feels like Angel's a great place for us to be because Angel has always been supporting clean comedy with dry bar comedy, and has always been supporting high quality faith-based productions and TV shows, which is what our show is as well. So yeah, Angel feels like the perfect place to be watching the Promised Land, and I hope everyone does.
Richie, any thoughts about the Promised Land now being on Angel?
Yeah, no, like exactly like Mitch mentioned, we're thrilled. I think it's, there's nothing else currently on Angel like it. So, check it out. It's the perfect blend of what has been on Angel. We're excited to have season 1 on there. We hope you laugh. We hope you are able to connect with the characters and connect with scripture in a way that you never have before. And so we're thrilled to have, the show on Angel. Go watch it.
Shireen, how about you?
Yeah, just so proud. It feels so right, and it makes so much sense that we get to deploy this show to a community that will really understand it at every level, not just the general comedic, but the deeply scriptural elements as well, and the comedy and references, like the deep cuts around that. It feels like the right home for that to open it up.
No, I love that. And Wasim, how about you? Why should people watch The Promised Land on Angel?
Angel has been pioneering high quality faith-based material and productions. And, for a long time, that was kind of an oxymoronic thing that, high quality and faith-based material didn't go together. And if I can toot our own horn, that I think that this project slides seamlessly into that category because of everyone's great work, and Mitch being at the helm of that. So, it's the perfect placement. And I think, all of your guild members and everyone on Angel is going to appreciate this show because the comedy tickles you, allows you to put your guard down, and then we go for the heart. And I think that perfect audience for that recipe.
No, that's perfect. Very well said. And thank you all so much for your answers. I couldn't agree more. And for our audience members watching, if you have not seen The Promised Land, please go to angel.com/Promised Land Guild. There you can sign up to become a member and watch all of season 1 right now. It's definitely worth your time. Like everyone's been saying, it's filled with laughs, it's filled with heart, and really, first episode, you'll be hooked. I can guarantee it. But I just want to say thank you to all of you guys. Thank you so much, Mitch, Richie, Wasim, and Shireen. Thank you so much for taking the time, chatting with the audience. I think we're going to close out with the trailer, but once again, thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Micah.
A word from the Lord. You yourselves have seen what I did to the Egyptians, and how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself.
I don't remember any eagles. My feet are bleeding.
Just know.
When God called me from the burning bush, I said yes right away. Okay, maybe not right away, but eventually I did say yes.
Let me get this straight. All of these people, they all look to you for leadership?
That's right. Public speaking has always been my strong suit.
When I say promised, you say land. Promised.
When I spoke to Pharaoh on Moses' behalf, it went pretty well. Besides the plagues.
Oh no!
I need some advice.
From me?
No, Miriam, from the Lord.
The baby my mother pushed down a river became a political revolutionary.
I have spoken.
So now I get to take notes while the men are talking.
You are an inspiration for women everywhere.
Don't touch me, please.
I have the renewed covenant and the new laws for us to follow.
Why did God choose me?
It is easy to be popular. It is harder to lead.
I have sinned, but God chose me anyway. It's not about being worthy. It's about being faithful to Him.
What a wonderful day!
Something feels different. In a good way.